Hello guys, welcome to the vlog of the day today. So today, as you know, it's a Friday, it's a rainy day here, and we are in Pullman Hotel. And as you know, last week I told you about the Angkatan AZAM and also this US Embassy doing some masterclass. So yeah, I'm just going to shoot some of the videos because, as you know, the content itself, we must respect the content that is being presented by the presenter, international presenter, so we have to respect them. They've done all their research and everything, so I'm going to just give you one or two or maybe three of their presentation, not all presentation, because I have to respect their content. And let's see how days go. I'm here with my students as well, so afterwards we're going to see how it all goes down. And yeah, this is Pullman, Kuching, and I'm in the sofa. And look upstairs. It's going to be a great talk. Okay? So stay tuned.
Of how to tell stories that serve a purpose. And I think this combination of filmmaking background and strategy background, helping organizations, both for-profit and non-profit, how to think through strategically what they're going to accomplish. Because a lot of times my clients are not exactly any better than that young gentleman I just told you about. They'll come and say, we need to go into the genres because it's interrelated. So I think that's the key focus today. I hope there's going to be good discussion. If we have time, I will touch on the 3-act structure, which I think is helpful too. But if we don't, I'd rather do the first two very well than try to rush through. As we talked about earlier, we could stay here for days, and I think it's important not just to rush through things, but to have a good discussion. All right. So first, let's go into the mini brief. All the creative briefers, you hear me say this again and again. It's not rocket science. It's very straightforward. What I'm going to teach you is about getting clarity on who you're talking to. So there are 3 sets of questions before you start a project. I just want you to take the time to write down the answers to these things. Being very focused on one audience and what they need, you actually have a better chance of reaching a wider audience because you might touch on something very universal. But when you try to please everyone and be all things to all people, you often have a very disjointed message that's a little bit all over the place. So it's very important to have agreement. You can always then, to make people feel good, on the secondary audience and the tertiary audience. Put that on the paper if it makes some other folks feel better. But know who your primary audience is. And once you narrow down on that as a group, then you can think more effectively. What are they thinking now? And what do you want them to think after they see your film? That's important to identify, right? Because that will help you answer the next question, which is interviews, right? And there are different kinds of interviews. Some where you see the reporter on one side, the journalist on one side, the other, so or the filmmaker is part of it. And there might be some where the filmmaker and the journalist is actually out of the picture. So we're very familiar with this. So most of you might be using this. Now, another technique is archival material. And I think that's another one that's pretty familiar. So whether it's historical pieces or photos, or if you're making a story about someone like I did on my last documentary, you just might want to, so archival sounds so official. You've got to get something historical. But it could be just something when you're telling the story of someone, it might be good to give some context, to get pictures of when they were younger, or pictures of their family members. So that could be it too. So think think about, whether that would actually enrich the story that you're telling. Investigative, or research, that's something that is helpful if you think there are hidden pieces of information that people haven't seen yet about a case. That's also another popular technique with some filmmakers that's very much into investigative journalism. So if you have a story that you feel like there is a new perspective, you are maybe have insider information, that there might be some dusty files that people haven't done through or that's recently released, that might be a technique that you include in your story. Now, ethnography, it's basically language that's borrowed from the academic world, which is really about observing people in real life. Seeing them in their homes, in their offices, so you really get a sense of how they work, how they live, and incorporate that into your documentary.
Okay guys, so for the first round of the talk, we'll talk about documentary, how to do documentary, type of documentary and everything. So the first round is good. So hopefully that the slide has been shown and also a bit of video over there is beneficial for you guys. Yeah? I'm not going to show you all the videos, but then again, very beneficial. And we're going to wait for the second round of the talk. Yeah, so hopefully for all you guys there, especially for the YouTubers, YouTube pemula, dah belajar lah untuk membuat dokumentari yang terbaik, ya, yang terbaik. There are a lot of type documentary, okay, and these are some of them, right? So stay tuned for the next round. That's all we say. Stay tuned.
For part 2.
No necessary one.
To our next speaker, Ms Carolyn Jonas. Thank you.
This is great. Show some love, right? So, how many of you in the room are working on a project right now that you'd like to get funded?
Everybody wants to get funded.
All right. So, how many of you like talking about money?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, wow. Oh, you should come up and do this. I have never met a documentary filmmaker who liked talking about fundraising. I mean, it's just a bear. It's the worst part of this process I've been in my life. But a whole bunch of you raised your hands, so you're probably going to love this. So I'm Carolyn Jonas. I started off as a photographer, so I've published a few books, and raising money for publishing books is very much like raising money for a film, so it's not that different. And I have directed and produced 3 documentary films, which were all basically funded in 3 different ways. And I want to share that with you today, and that's what we'll go over. The first one was corporate funding, the second one was foundation funding from nonprofits, and I had a business sponsor, and the third one was from one nonprofit. And they all have kind of pros and cons. So I'm going to go through my process and share that with you. But I want to say before I even start this that, there is many different ways to fund a film as there are filmmakers, ways to make a documentary film. I mean, it's just a very personal thing, and everybody figures out what they're good at and goes for that. And so I may make a suggestion for something that I did that maybe isn't something that you're comfortable with. So to kind of take review what I talk about before you go to a meeting or before you reach out to someone is a wonderful thing. So I'm going to show you my calling card. This is what I use when I'm trying to get someone's attention and give them a sense of who I am. I've been working for the last 10 years in the world of nurses, so this has that kind of angle on it, but take a look at this thing. Or not. Or I can just act it out. What's authentic and what's real and what you're trying to do. I think documentary filmmaking is one of the few places left that we can really tell the truth, that we can really tell our own stories. And I think telling our own stories is such a great way to make the world a better place, just knowing about one another. So this is a nurse thirst that I had, and one of the people that drove me to wanting to spend the last 10 years in the healthcare field. I had cancer a number of years and she got me through it. This is Joanne Staha, and this is a photograph of Joanne and I. So I was asked to do a nursing project, and I think one of the things that I think about a lot is the things I care about are over here in this bucket. And over here in this bucket are the things that other people, whether it's corporations or nonprofits, are trying to express. If you want their money to finance the thing that you care about, then it's really important that you find partners that are really like-minded. And that's what I was driven to do. So a corporate sponsor came forward and asked me if I wanted to do a project about nurses, and I left at the opportunity because it was going to give me a chance to dig into a world that I really cared about because of my own personal experience. So because I had this personal experience, I was able to kind of go in and talk to them about why I wanted to do it the way I wanted to do it. And I think that's just a really important thing to realize, that you need to get these two buckets to the same place. And again, with so many of the things that Izzy talked about, to think about who's your audience, where you're going, what are you trying to say to who, that's how you'll find your corporate sponsor. So the first thing I did was this book. And you sit down with someone, you figure out the essence of somebody, you get into their soul and you talk to them, and then you try to capture who they are, or you have a preconceived notion and you just take a picture. So this first image represents a photographer named Irving Penn, who would interview his subjects, watch their mannerisms, and figure out who they were and how he wanted to represent them. And then after like a half an hour, he would go and take the photograph. And it's relevant, and you'll see, it's kind of what, again, Izzy was saying earlier, you talk to people. You bring in the camera a little bit later in the game so that they're comfortable with who you are and what you're doing. The next photographer was of the other ilk. He would think of his idea of who the person was. This is an actor named Sean Penn, and I was there this day, so I saw this all happen. He came in. It was all set up. Sean Penn comes on set, and the photo is over in 5 minutes without any words being exchanged. And I needed to figure out what kind of interviewer I was going to be. Am I going to, how deep into someone's life do I want to get? So when I was doing my first book, which was a book about people living with HIV and AIDS, that's when I discovered what kind of interviewer I wanted to be. And for me, I was dealing with a lot of people from a lot of different walks of life. AIDS and HIV was a huge issue in the early 90s in New York City when I was doing this photography. This is a swim team group. This is a couple that I met. All of these people that I didn't have necessarily anything in common with, but I needed to get to the heart of who they were as quickly as I could. And so I talked to everybody about who or what they loved. And that just ended up being this great pathway into wonderful conversations about things that matter in life. So then the second book that I did, Finding Hope, and then people would pass away, it's draining. Yeah, it's really draining, but there's something really positive and energizing about telling people's stories if it's going to help someone else who's in the same boat in the future. And I get strength from that. So I think, and also I just happen to be married to a really nice guy who picks up the pieces at the end of the day, so that helps a lot. But sometimes, and I think with the film about emergency rooms, that was the hardest for me for sure, because I saw so many people die, and that was absolutely brutal. But I thought it was, I didn't film that, but I saw that, and I just think it's important to tell the story that you need to tell. And I love
Amazing masterclass. Thus concludes our masterclass for today, ladies and gentlemen. But to officially end this masterclass, I'd like to invite the cultural officer of the US Embassy Kuala Lumpur, Ms Carolyn Jonas, to deliver her closing speech. Round of applause.
To all of you, thank you so much. much. To say a few words to all of the artistic and creative and entrepreneurial spirits in this room. Despite the cold temperatures, I feel an energy. I feel a spirit of understanding about the power of storytelling, and I think ultimately that's really why we're so privileged as the US Embassy to be able to come together and help to support this kind of program. So let me start out by saying a huge thank you to our partner for helping to make this possible. In particular, Haja, who had to take her leave already, but who gave amazing remarks this morning, I think, about really the importance of filmmaking and its role, particularly in Sarawak in terms of digital economy and economic empowerment and telling stories, but also YT, Madam Lilia, Sarawakians, Malaysians, the world tell their stories and using the art of filmmaking to do so. So hopefully that you picked up a few new techniques and a few new ideas that can help you along your journey. We remain committed at the US Embassy to helping to support our arts and culture, but also issues related to economic empowerment, women's empowerment, and telling stories of vulnerable people. So again, please do keep in touch with us and let us know how we can continue to partner with all of you into the future. Thank you once again, and I look forward to, I think we're having a certificate ceremony. So I'm looking forward to that, but have a wonderful day and keep up the great filmmaking work.
Thank you so much. All right, for this, I'd like to invite Yang Busam Madam Lilia Sinawan, the CEO of AZAM Sarawak, to join Ms Carolyn on stage for the certification ceremony. Thank you so much. And joining them on stage as well is our two distinguished speakers. Do join them on stage as well for this ceremony. Thank you so much. Round of applause, guys. We just give you guys a very fruitful presentation. But of course, what's going to happen is Ms Carolyn Jonas is going to present the certificate to Madam Lilia, and Madam Lilia is going to pass over the certificates to the participants. And also, upon request of the organizer, I'd like to invite as well Mr. Jamal on stage as well, and the head of content, creative content and special events of TBS. All right. Yeah. Sure, a little bit in the center, of course. So to present the award, can I have Ms Carolyn Jonas to present the award to Madam Lilia, and for Madam Lilia to hand it over to the first participants, representative of TBS, Mr. Jamal Abdullah, who is the head of creative content and special programs. So for the photo session, can we invite those who are from TBS to be on stage for the photo session? Siapa yang dari TBS sudah berada with us untuk sesi gambar? So if you are coming with your group or with your association or your organization, after one of you already take the certificate, make sure all your team join for the photo session. Tapi semua macam sudah cukup lah. Jangan TBS.